Good morning, all. Hello, hello, hello. I'm just a couple of minutes late this morning. It's a bit of an impromptu today because I didn't have a specific topic in mind that I wanted to talk about this week. So I thought, let me just, what's top of my mind? What's coming up a lot for me lately with clients, dogs, and also what I'm learning about lately, and that's about adolescent dogs. So teenies, teen troubles. And my oil of choice today is lavender, my all-time favorite. Um, and it's what I call coming home. It's my coming home oil. It's basically, it grounds me, it centers me, it gives me a feeling of well-being and safety. It reminds me of friends, family, comfort. Yeah, it's just my all-time favorite, and I absolutely love it. A lot of people dislike it because it's probably one of the most common essential oils ever known, ever used. And there's obviously different types of lavender, different qualities of lavender. And a lot of the lavenders that we know are actually lavandine, which is a separate not a separate plant altogether, but of that family. And that's the one that we often relate to the granny's smelly drawer, her lavender pouches and things like that. So it's not the same as this one, which is the Lavandula August. Let me say that again. Lavandula augustifolia. That is the true lavender. And it's really as I say, my absolute all-time favorite, a remarkable oil. So many uses, from everything from, it's one of my first in my first aid kit for antibacterial, for soothing, beautiful for skin and healing wounds. It has the most lovely scent, a beautiful fresh scent. In fact, it's not that sweet sickly artificial lavender scent. It's a beautiful fresh scent. It's actually really quite clearing of the through your nasal passages and lungs and everything. So it's beautiful. My all-time favorite, lavender. All right, so I just wanted to chat a little bit about adolescent dogs, not particularly around, generally. It's really hard. It's hard being a teenager, as we know as a human, and it's even harder being a teenage dog, I believe. For those of you who can remember your teen years, you may have breezed through them, or they may have been really difficult for you. Things like, social discomforts coming up, feeling really uncomfortable, wanting to do things, wanting to express yourself, but you don't know how or where or what, or you may have been really eccentric, you may have been extremely shy, you may have been trying to keep up with all your peers, and it was really difficult for you. Or perhaps you were one of those, out there people leading your peers in that age. It's such an impressionable age, and it's really, really a difficult emotional age, as we know as humans. And it's actually the same for our dogs. It's same for most animal species. There's a beautiful book. I'll post it later, the link. It's called Wildhood. And it's really it's about exploration of adolescent years in all sorts of animals. Um, Literally, there's things in there about penguins, about primates, about octopus, about fish going through adolescence. I mean, it's an incredible read, and it's incredible to find out that what a difficult stage it is for all animal species on this planet. And so I really believe that we have to, we put a lot of attention onto puppies, onto how we need to, socialize our puppies and, be gentle with them, teach them different things, help them to grow, help them to, connect with us, all of these things. And then by the time they get to about a year or even earlier than that, if they become sexually mature, around anything from 6 months, small breeds can start to become sexually mature. Bitches may have their first season around 6, 7, 8, 9 months. The bigger breeds might be later, but smaller breeds can be that early. And as soon as they have that, they've reached sexual maturity, we think they are now moving into adulthood. And according to the textbooks, if you look at a dog who's 1 year old, they're considered an adult dog. They're no longer considered a puppy, they're considered an adult dog from 1 year old. But what research is really telling us now again and again is that maturity goes long beyond that. So even though they may have reached sexual maturity, does not mean that they have reached emotional or physical maturity even. And that's something really important to be aware of, because I recently did a course with Sarah Fisher for adolescent dogs, and it was amazing to see some of the videos. And once you see something, you can't unsee it. And it's incredible to see how many dogs, how many young dogs in their adolescent period, which, by the way, could be anything from 6 months to 3 years, depending on the breed and the individual dog and their circumstances. A really wide window. And how those dogs can be physically out of balance because their hind legs are often longer than their front legs. And so they're always tipped forward and always tipped out of balance, and have to often take very odd stances in order to balance themselves. And so things like jumping in and out of a car is suddenly not as easy as it would be, or we think, well, surely they should be able to jump up and down a step or in and out of the car. But it's not like that. It's often it's often that dogs struggle with these things, or they struggle suddenly out with this, eating from certain surfaces or doing certain movements. They're really uncoordinated, and they really need time in order to grow into their bodies. In their brain is the most massive, things happening. New things are happening. The frontal cortex is completely being almost rebuilt altogether. And while that's happening, it's like having plumbing done in your house. If you need to have plumbing done, you need to switch off the water in order to, so the plumber can do his job. And so some parts of the brain are turned off regularly in order for construction, as it were, and things to go, to be processed in the brain, and new areas to be built, new connections to be built, old ones that didn't serve them to be thrown out. And so this is what very often I have a lovely client who has a young dog, and she said she often gets this sort of stare from her dog, like, "What are you asking me? Why should I do it? I don't get it." And it's that typical teenage stare where people say, "I don't," and they say, "My dog is ignoring me. He knows what to do, and now he's just not doing it anymore." Well, you know what? He's probably having one of those blank moments where his brain is not functioning, and he just really doesn't know what you're trying to say and what you're asking him to do. So this is such an important time to be really giving our dogs the time and the space and the support that they need more than ever, more than ever. As I say, we tend to put a lot of focus on that young puppy, but I think during these teen years, it's even more that they need support. They get so easily frustrated. Um, there's also research to show now that they are very body sensitive. So suddenly, this is the time where your puppy didn't really mind having their harness put on. Now they're really sensitive about having their harness put on. They feel really uncomfortable. And that's because their nervous system is on high alert. There's a lot of cortisol in their bodies. They're feeling sensitive on their skin. Their joints are sensitive, as they're developing and growing. Everything is really heightened at this stage. It's also from an instinctual, from a natural point of view. Dogs have this urge to go out and practice things like hunting. If they're a hunting breed or have some kind of background in that, they're going to want to go out there and hunt and chase things and do things. And it's this drive is stronger than it's ever been before in their life, and it's really something that's driven from really instinctual. And so if they're not having their needs met and they're feeling frustrated, these are things they're going to want to do: rip things up, chase things, do things, because they're just feeling uncomfortable and don't know how to resolve that. So again, so much support, so much understanding, so much patience these dogs need. What they don't need is more training, more obedience, more, get in line, do as I say. And so we know this now from human teenagers as well. The more the more you put them under pressure to do things, the more resistance you're going to get, and the more that teenager is going to push against you, which doesn't result in good relationships. It doesn't result in that trust and that confidence and any of that. That's what we really want to nurture in this age. We want to nurture their trust, their confidence, let them grow as emotional beings that need that support from us more than ever. So I can't see let me just see if anybody's commenting on on the Facebook group there. So if yeah, I can't see the comments there, unfortunately. But so if you have any comments, I would love to know, yeah, what you feel about this, what you feel about young dogs. Do you have a dog who's in that adolescent phase? And as I say, it can really stretch really far up. Some of the really big breeds, they say, are not emotionally mature until age of 2.5, 3 years old. So it's a big window, and we really need to be more mindful of how we can support these dogs in a better way. And that means emotionally, as I said, they're going to have these urges. It's going to be really hard for them. They're going to want to go and meet other dogs. They they've got the surge to be more social and to get out. Again, think of a teenager. They want to go party. They want to go meet other people. They want to do all these things. And if, in most of our lifestyles, they have to be on a leash, or they're not allowed to rush up and see other dogs. Of course, it's not, it's not socially acceptable behavior, and we understand that. But again, it's so uncomfortable for those dogs when they have to be restrained and they're never allowed to go off and meet other dogs, or they just want to go and say hi, and they can't. So the frustration levels are really high in these dogs. They get frustrated really quickly. And so helping them either to avoid those situations or meeting that need in some way, making sure that they do have a play partner that they could regularly meet, make sure that they do have one or two places they might be able to play with other dogs, or just to walk alongside them, because they also need to develop social skills. They're not going to learn social skills if they can't be with other dogs. And this is again, such a time where reactivity starts to happen, because they get frustrated, they can't get to something, or they have really bad social skills, and so they go storming up into other dogs' faces, and the other dogs, tell them off. So there's so many things that could go wrong in this time, really. And again, where we really, really need support. So I really encourage you, if you do have a young dog, really start to understand them more, be more patient with them, and reach out to people, reach out to a good trainer, behaviorist, coach, dog coach, that's going to be able to help you through this, who's going to be able to help you to understand your dog's behavior, what's behind it. Because it's very often just something, that's going on for the dog. It could be emotionally, physically, as I said, and we need to be able to support them in a better way. One of the statistics is that most of the dogs that are given up into foster care, or into rescue centers, again, are in this adolescent phase. It's right smack bang in this time. And it's, yeah, as I said, such a sensitive age for dogs that, yes, they're having a hard time. We are too, but that understanding of where they're coming from is really, really so important. So, yeah, any comments or questions, reach out to me. I'm here for you. Um, got some great resources that I can, show you or send to you about young dogs. And certainly, I possibly will at some stage do a little webinar that we can really go through some things that can help dogs with their physical, emotional, and mental balance during these times, which is really, really tough for them. So that's my message today. If you have a young dog, I feel for you. I know it's not easy, but really they need us. They need us more than ever right now. So go out there, give your dog a hug, give them some plenty of time, space, and choice, and find out how you can work together. Because I said to a client the other day, this may be the most challenging time in your relationship with your dog, but it's also a time where you can build the best relationship under the sun. Because if you can really work through this time together and be there to support them no matter what, and be there to guide them and teach them, you are going to be that person that when they come through this, that they will always look to, that they will always feel safe with, always feel comfortable with. And you will be your dog's hero if you can help to guide them through this stage. So go out there, love your dogs, even when they seem to drive you crazy sometimes. Just know that they're having a really, really tough time going through this adolescent phase. So, everyone, have a great day, and we will speak to you again next Tuesday. See you then. Bye bye.